Well, that's just fucking great! Oh, great! You know what that is? Do you know what that is? Right. That's just fucking great!
Hi everyone, it's Ayesha here from GOO FM, and I want to talk about the graphene and the nano that is being put in our bodies. And if you're a targeted individual, then you'll find that you're on a sort of losing battle against home invaders, people messing with your food, your water, and your toilet pipes. Neighboring properties will access the water inlet and also the drain pipes to ensure that graphene is being pumped into your house, and into your water, into your fans, and into your cooker even into your gas supply. The graphene is being put everywhere, because it is a nano construction particle that can construct inside your body and then be activated by people with phones that have access to your data and your biometrics, like the drug dealers who are invading my home, right? Home invasions, the people who are, obtaining my information, and they have also been in my home and injected me with something. Now, I didn't have any of these shots for COVID, but someone injected me with something, and I've got somebody interfering with my food, as well as my water and toilet pipes and any other type of inlet, and messing with electrics and hacking phones, and that kind of thing. Now, when you have what I believe this is, let me just give you a sort of some type of explanation. So basically what we have is somebody's putting something into bodies, all bodies, but particularly the targeted individual people like me. They're making a real concerted effort to ensure that there's the stuff inside me which basically constructs and hijacks my operating systems, my brain, if you like. Sorry about the clattering noise. I've actually got to shield myself from my boiler at the moment because somebody's taken over the wire and put in a Bluetooth device inside it. Now, I don't know how to do wiring, so all I can do is try and shield myself from the radiation that now comes from my boiler. But what's radiation? Well, it's just electrical frequencies, actually. But it gives me a headache, and I find if I cover it with NASA foil, it stops the headaches a bit, which is quite nice, actually, because I don't like headaches. I don't know about you. Do you like headaches? So anyway, I've noticed a difference, so I cover it, and I find I don't get headaches as badly. But so basically, if somebody puts all of this stuff inside your body, then basically hijacks the controls of your body, controls, as well as brainwaves controls, and this kind of thing, then it's actually quite serious, because that's hijacking your body. And I don't consent to anybody putting stuff in my water, breaking into my home, meddling with all my food, putting graphene in all products, including hair products and everything else, because I don't consent. I want to stay human. So from my point of view, this is like, imagine a thief who takes a liking to some of your jewelry, finds out where you live, and then has a little snoop around while you're out, and thinks, well, there's quite nice things here. I quite like all of it, actually. What I'll do is I'm just going to take everything from inside the house. But then what they think is, no, actually, I'd like the house as well as all the jewelry and every bits of furniture. And I quite like all the bank accounts. And actually, I quite like to take over her identity and become her. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I won't just steal the watch or the pretty necklace. I'm just going to take over that person's life, identity, and home, and body, mind, and soul. And so this is basically what is happening to me, but also all the other targeted individuals. So I want to just illustrate how serious this is. And I have so much evidence now with all of the hacking and everything that's been going on for 3 years in my life. So has Rough Love, who's also made police reports and all sorts of things. He's had to take in the police reports physically. They didn't give him a crime reference. He's had to complain that he didn't get a crime reference. He's had to take it in again a second time, get a crime reference number. I don't know if he had to take it a second time, but he had to go there again to get a crime reference number. Because everybody wants to turn a blind eye to the graphene that's being put in the food, the water, the air, and also with any medications, dental treatments. And so I want to just raise this, okay, because once they've got the stuff inside you, they can activate it from a mobile phone. So all they need really is a facial recognition photo of you. Then they've got your biometrics, they've got into everything, and they're controlling everything through the health app, which is on your phone, and fitness, which is what I've noticed on my phone. So I'm just, showing you what I'm finding. And why have I got fitness on my phone? And why have I got health? Why have I got home? And why have I got HomePod? And why have I got so much Siri stuff? I mean, I don't want to be listened to or watched or stalked or terrorized, thank you. I'd like my freedom, and I'd like to think with my own mind, and I'd like to be able to speak about what I want to speak about without being shadow banned. Why is it so hard for everybody to wake up to what is going on in the world? People are just so dumb. I'm so tired of people being dumb. All right. So basically what's happening is that it's happening on a very large scale. It's like an inside takeover. Once they've got the stuff in your body, they take you over. They take over your mind. And people don't even remember what they've been doing. So this is a bit like the mass shootings where people have killed people and they've been taken over. But this is happening at a world level now. So for all targeted individuals, they notice that their neighbors are involved. But no neighbor really, come on, would want to torture their other neighbor, would they? Especially a single woman preacher like me, who honestly, within their own sane mind, would actively break into someone's house, do home invasions, be gagging at the door to break in every time you go out, vandalize your vehicles, hack all of your accounts, and also actively put stuff in your water, in your food, and in your drains, and, actively cause sewage leaks and things like this over your property, so they can have all of this nano stuff activating and constructing around you so that they can build a grid with aerials, fake telephone masts, and all of this. How can this happen with normal people? When it doesn't happen with normal people, what I've come to realize is once they They basically move into a town and they take over the town. And they start with one house, and then they modify all the water, the gas, the electric, and all the smart meters, and they change all the wiring, and they adapt everything, because they've got to have things to activate this stuff as well, which is lights, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. It's all through Bluetooth, right? I can't use Bluetooth anymore. It's just ridiculous. And basically, then you find yourself where you're just, you know, sitting down and you've got a vagina ache or a bum ache or your willy's aching, or, you know, I'm talking about men and women here, or, you know, you've got a really sore back. Like when I go and put things in the cupboard under my stairs, my back becomes so sore. I think it could be as painful as if it was broken. It's so sore I can barely stand up or move up and down just by the stairs, but I'm fine anywhere else in the house. So I know this is a frequency-based problem, but I don't know if it's because of the stuff they've put inside me, the graphene. But what I've now found is I've got to take dozens and dozens and dozens of supplements and all sorts of cleansing, detoxing, deworming, goodness knows what I've got to take. And it's a bit like trying to stop a sinking ship from sinking. Because every time I get on top of it, my neighbors are hopping into my home, filling my fridge and, you know, meddling with everything, so that they can get the stuff back inside me, so they can control my vagina or my head or whatever else, okay? And it's getting right on my nerves because I don't consent. And I didn't consent for the water board to put all this weird stuff in my water. I didn't consent for these guys to spray the skies. I did not consent to them putting modified weird stuff in the food. I do not consent to druggy criminals breaking in to my home and hacking my phone. Now I run an estate agent. And I'll tell you that people that have dealt with me have had problems with their phones. Keys go missing. Data is supposed to be protected. And so I've got criminals accessing my information, but also anybody else that contacts me, information. Do you understand? But this isn't just me. This is happening to everybody. The fact that I know about it means that I'm aware about these things and I can tell you. But what it means is, with everything that's happening, all it takes is, you know, a paedophile, because most of these people are paedophiles and they're blood drinkers. They go, oh, pretty little girl, that girl, isn't she? Oh, lovely. Oh, I'll tell you what, we'll just modify the water, break into the house, and, you know, we'll inject some stuff into the sweets, and then the children, you know, when they eat the sweets, that will go inside them. And then we can control them. Because nobody believes us, you know. I mean, it's crazy, aren't they, these people, you know? They're conspiracy theorists. You know, it's just so funny, isn't it? And basically, they're putting this stuff inside the children. They're putting it inside us. And it constructs. And it actually is creating its own networking, sub-networking, its own infrastructure, which is connecting to a grid system, which is also connecting with the cloud. It's sending all your brainwaves and basically all of your data to the criminals. And when the stuff starts coming out of you, and you're working really hard at detoxing like me, they get quite upset, actually, when they can't control, you know, my vagina, for example, or my bum, and cause me pain. They get really upset about it. So that's when they obviously like to offer you food as well. would you like some food? No, thanks. I'm okay. I don't eat anymore. I've stopped eating because I can't eat. You know why? Because these people are breaking into my home and modifying any food I've got. So I basically have just stopped eating. And I found by stopping eating, I've also stopped having reactions to people being able to control me. Because I think they keep having to top it up by, altering all my food in my home. And I felt a lot better. For the last 3 days, I've actually been able to sleep well and rest quite nicely by basically just stop eating. And what it means is I've got to be really careful what food I eat because it could be tampered with. So if I buy something and I open it, I have to eat it all or, throw the rest away because people are coming in. But it's also very hard to earn a living when you're being hacked. And also, they're vandalizing your vehicles, and they also are a piggy in the middle between your communications with anybody inside or outside of this world for help, but also to communicate with your friends, loved ones, and also be able to maintain yourself, with your banking. I can't literally exist in this digital system anymore because somebody has taken over my phone, my SIM cards, my identity. They have stolen my identity and they have held me hostage in my own body. And they are repeatedly over and over and over breaking in, messing with the water supply. I mean, I've got some magnets up on my water supply to stop this. But somebody between where my magnets are and where the water comes into my home is a space of about 3 foot, which has an apartment above it. And they've got to the water supply between that area, and they put in this graphene into my water supply so that, it's going in the toilet pipe, and it's going in the water supply, and it's going into the boiler. Now, I don't know if you know this, but if you start putting things in the water when you're running a boiler, it stops working. So I have a boiler that I just cannot control, a gas boiler, and I cannot get hot water. Now, normally with a boiler, it should be instantly hot water, but no, not with mine, because I think there's graphene running around in the pump, and it's clogged it, and it confused it. Plus, there's a Bluetooth controller inside there. And how would I know that? Because I've found a Bluetooth controller in it. I've identified it. All right, it's Sony Ericsson. I've got so much evidence. It's so annoying. Anyway, and now my water is warm. And I've had so many leaks. I mean, I can just tell you that under my kitchen sink, I've repeatedly fixed leaks myself. Each time I've mentioned it to the plumber, it's suddenly the leaks aren't there anymore. But then he goes and then the leaks restart. It's like people are coming in and out, fiddling with everything all the time. Like in my bathroom, there's always water on the floor. I'm like, why? So I check, and then, I adjust things, and it stops leaking. And then, it's leaking again. I call the plumber. Oh, no. He says, oh, that's condensation. I said, but it was dripping the other night. And it was like, drip, 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 drip. No, that's condensation. Oh, all right then. Condensation. I suppose we're just never going to get rid of this effing damn leak. Just past trying to talk to people who try and talk back to me like I'm stupid. And I'm so tired of it, I really am. So I want to bring this to your attention because if they get the stuff inside your body, then it's a hijack. It's a hijack of your mind, and it's a Happy Days memory wipe clinic. effort. You know, can't remember that bit. And I'm actually finding that I'm struggling to maintain my memory. I'm losing actually days in the week also. So this week I lost a day. Last week I lost a day. I don't know whether I'm going to sleep and sleeping through a day, whether I'm being taken away, whether people are coming in. I don't have no idea. But I'm quite intelligent, and I usually know the day of the week because I do the daily lights. But, you know, I'm missing the day of Friday this week. And I'm getting quite tired of it. I'm also losing hours. I'll wake up, come down, and it'd be, you know, 7 o'clock. And then I look at the clock, 11 o'clock now. Only a few minutes later. And I'm like, how did I lose for 3 hours? I've just literally gone and opened the front door and let the cat in. Where did 3 hours go? And these are the things that are happening to me, but also memory. Many other people are saying that, you know, memory loss, and also people are changing and their personalities are changing, and they're doing things that they don't remember doing. And it's quite hard to maintain your memory and remember things. And the world is changing very fast. And I'm quite convinced that it's all connected with what they're putting in the food. Certainly, for targeted individuals, it's a much more concerted effort, you know, because let's just imagine that you had someone who worked in the hospital and they were the ones dancing around when everybody was locked in their homes, and lots of people were dying in the hospital when they went in from the virus, so they tell us. But we now discovered that they didn't really die from that, but they died from something else, which was more something that was caused by the very people who were telling you that, you know, there was virus, which there wasn't, you know, kind of thing. So the same people who've been dancing around the hospitals are the same people who know exactly what's really going on. Which makes it a highly organized crime. And once somebody has committed a crime of that level once, then they're also quite comfortable with the power associated with committing those crimes. So what you find with psychopaths, pedophiles, blood drinkers, murderers, adulterers, schemers and plotters of evil is they actually get a thrill. Once they've committed an evil act, like terrorizing someone to the point where they're so frightened, they realize that they really enjoy it. And it's the chase that they really like. But once the person's dead, it's boring because they're dead now. It's like cat and mouse, isn't it? The cat's so excited to chase the mouse until the mouse is caught and it's dead now. So the cat's bored because it's not moving anymore. And so I've noticed this is the same conduct that is displayed by the people perpetrating these evil crimes against me and other targeted individuals. So they get so overjoyed when they have control over your biometrics and your body that they'll put their pop music on and they'll have their friends over and everything else. But when you've got the stuff off, the doors will be slamming, the fireworks will go off, and, you know, it'll be, you know, a real stomping and doors slamming. So I've noticed anyway. But when they've got control of your biometrics and they can give you vagina ache and bum ache and back ache and shoulder ache and neck ache and ringing in your ears and cook your brain so that it's swelling up and making it go ring, 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 then they're really happy and they'll put their music on and they'll be dancing around and they will just be so delighted with the pain that they're causing because they're getting a kick out of it. And so this is the danger of allowing this kind of thing to continue unmonitored and also not policed, with no judicial system to protect innocent civilians from this kind of crime. Because normally hacking is a very serious crime. Stalking is a very serious crime. Stealing somebody's organs is also an evil crime. Making or having sex with a dead body is also an evil crime. But having sex with a living person is a crime. All of these crimes have been committed by these people. And poisoning somebody is a crime. Reading someone's mind or attempting to take control of their body and their biometrics must be the most evil crime I can ever think of. And to give that sort of power to the neighbors of the victims is, I think, the most evil. It's the epitome of evil from my point of view, because in the Bible, Jesus says, love your neighbors as yourself. And, well, from what I've witnessed, I can only tell you that I would never, ever have believed that people could be so disgustingly evil until I witnessed it for myself. And like I say, with these people who worked in the hospitals and danced around, those are the ones that really are quite happy to continue with the assassination of the human race. And that's why I think most of the perpetrators that I've noticed work in that industry. And they seem to also quite often be from other countries. And they seem to know a bit about what this is. I've noticed that light switches are very hard to switch on and off in their houses. And often there's a plant in the bath or in the sink, or the shower head is inside a bucket. All of those things seem to stop the radiation. And I wonder, how did they know that this stops the effects of EMF and all of those things? Why is it that their windows have the curtain pulled to the side just enough to point a bright light at my toilet pipes, and now my bathroom feels like it's a radiation center? Why? How? You know, but it's not just my house, it's all the other victims too. Why is it the bathroom? I have lots of questions. I don't have all of the answers, but I can tell you that this is what we're dealing with. What is this graphene, by the way? It's black goo. It's like Alien movie, the black stuff that they drink, and it forms an alien being thing that takes over. Like Prometheus. What is Prometheus? Well, that's their god, by the way. What is Prometheus when we break it apart? It's pro, me, thee, us. And we are legion, basically, is what Prometheus is. Black goo is we are legion. The people who work in the care industry that conduct these evil crimes are legion, and they're occupied by demonic entities. Because I believe when you perpetrate such crimes against humanity and you turn a blind eye, You're not following the truth, and you've got the darkness in you. And then, if you've got the darkness in you, how deep is the darkness, yeah? And so with the darkness comes death. And the devil is dead, lived backwards, but the devil is the one that eats the soil that we return to. So God tells us in Genesis that Adam would return to the soil and the devil would eat the soil. Right. Oh, okay. Why is that important? Well, the soil is so ill. So when you become so ill, you're near to death. All right. So the devil will eat you and then you'll be dead too. So Jesus told us, let the dead bury the dead. And all the people here are dead. But if you've received Jesus Christ, then you're raised from the dead and you're no longer dead, but you're now living. And so graphene can't exist in anything other than the 2-dimension. And I believe we're raising into the 5th dimension. And this would restrict you from raising consciousness. But also this would explain why all the targeted individuals no longer get dreams and all of those things. Because this is a, complete takeover. I also want to raise the fact that I'm aware of the fact that we've got a Z chromosome. This Z chromosome is like the XXYY, XY's chromosome, but it's a Z and it completes the alphabet, but it's only activated through frequency. And we have it, but it's conjugulated, whatever you call that. So it's thick blood cells. Why? Because we're not getting enough salt in our blood, and if you notice, it's very salty by the sea, and everything's green. So things go moldy in normal water, and mold attracts death. And EMF loves mold. So what we have then is an attempt to stop us from moving forward. They've also taken over our biometrics and our chakras. What is a chakra? Well, again, these are all parts of who we are, and I believe it activates part of our whole brain, because we're only using a pea-size percentage of our brain. So I guess you could say we're using maybe 1% of our brain. And when the rest of it was switched on, then you'll basically know the truth, and you'll realize that you always knew the truth, just like he says in 1 John. Is it 1 John 2? To the lady. Okay, so we've got to ask the question. Is it 2 John 1? I can't remember. But when he talks to the lady, he tells her that. And so I'm like, okay. So basically we're talking about the 5th element. Oh, what's the 5th element? Well, you've watched the film, haven't you? The 5th element. Right, go back and watch it. So what's that about? Well, basically, you've got 5 elements. Air, sea, is it air, water, fire, earth, and ether. Ah, yes, ether. What's ether? Oh, well, ether's what you get your electricity from. Oh, okay. What's the symbol for ether? Oh, well, that would just be the symbol of the 6-pointed star. The pyramid on top of a pyramid, which is the star of Israel. Not the real children of God, because the children of God are real, and the fake children of God are transformers, because they were one sex and they transferred themselves into a different sex. So what's electricity then? Well, electricity is a trickery, and they took the ether, original free energy that we used to have before the reset, and they gave it an AC/DC current, which is alternate and direct, and basically this makes it dangerous. But also it's invisible, so you can't tell if it's dangerous, and if somebody puts in an extra few wires into your wiring, they can exert extra currents, which you can't say, which can cook your brain, cook your vagina, cook your bum, fry your head, and basically also cook your feet, make your hands swell up, and all of these other evil things. And really, your blood is inside your body, and it's not meant to be cooked. It's like a microwave. Oh yes, the microwave. What's a microwave? Well, a microwave's a box, and when you put food inside and you turn the knob and you switch it on, it cooks your food from the inside out. But you can't actually see it cooking. But you know it's cooked because when you bring it out, it's cooked. But if you only cook it a little bit, you can get it out of the microwave and it'll still be cold on the outside. And you wouldn't know that it's cooking in the inside. But basically, that's what's happening to us. 2.4 gigahertz frequency. So, basically, they're doing the same thing as a microwave. They've reconstructed the microwave at a bigger, much larger level. Circuit boards are now the towns. Fridges have become sort of amplifiers. Your washing machines have become gramophones to amplify audio, sound. You can clean jewelry with sound, and you can also cook someone's brain. Sound. So anyway, this is the way it operates. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say, but it's quite serious. And virtually all of the people who rule over us, pop stars, movie stars, diddly-dum and all that stuff, have sold their souls, and they've actually done the transforming over to transbending their gender, right? So this is why they're actually called Goyim in the Bible. In the Bible, they're called Goyim. What's a Goyim? A Goyim is not a boy, and it's not a girl. That's why it's a goy. I am. And that it stands for I, and then for the M, for the mother. Mother? Mother, yes. From the Gnostic Gospels. But that's a story for another time. Okay. So why do the Masons have that symbol, which is a V, and then an upside down V on top of that V? Oh, well, that's because they removed some of the ether and part of the XYZ chromosome, because God is the Alpha, the Omega, which is the beginning and the end, and He's the alphabet. So by taking off the Z, you won't land on Zion, because when you know the truth, you'll be on the truth and you'll stand on Mount Zion. And Zion is the end of the alphabet. But because God is the Word, in the flesh and in the Spirit and in the Bible and in the heavens, they're trying to stop the activation of the word, but also the completing of the sentence, because Jesus already completed the sentence for a crime he didn't commit, but also several words, which also is a letter, which is also a folded letter, right? And then he had the crown of roses on his head, and then he rose after 3 days from the dead to the living. And we are also meant to be rising from the dead as the living, because the word is alive inside us with the Holy Spirit. But the Z chromosome cannot be activated because the frequency is being hindered, and therefore the pea-sized, small, teeny weeny part of our brain won't allow the rest of us to activate and raise our frequency and be changed in a twinkling of an eye. So that's just what I want to talk about. I don't consent to the stuff being put in my food. I don't consent to the stuff being put in my water. I don't consent to the stuff being sprayed on me either. And really, we've got enough electricity in the ether, right? So the V on top of the V is just basically the same symbol as the fake children of God, with the star, because they've always had that symbol. That's always been their God, Baal, B-A-A-L, to a God, because a God, as in opposite to AB. Yeah. And then a God. What's the difference between he and she and S? Okay. What's the difference between he, she, and thee? A T. Jesus was on the cross. Did you notice that the medical symbol is a cross with an S over the top? An S and a T. Do you think the S and the T might be the she and the thee of the he and the thee and the she? Maybe this is about he, she, and thee. Because when you join the sheet of paper with the pen, the two become one. God is the penis, pen is, and the woman is the sheath. But also in the dreams of Joseph, it's also sheath. And the other sheaths all bent down and bowed to Joseph, who was upright. And they all bow down. Why? Well, because Joseph was real. And they bow because it's a bow as well. So it's a play on words. But basically, what we had in the stories of Joseph was also the stories about the cupbearer and the bread maker. And that also represents this time. And this is after he got the coat of many colors and had the dreams and the visions. And then his brothers sold him for 20 pieces of silver to the Ishmaelites, and he became a slave and worked for Potiphar, the owner of the prison. And then the wife of Potiphar decided she liked Joseph and tried to make out with him, but Joseph wouldn't do anything with her, so she made an allegation that he tried to rape her, and then he went to jail, and then he interpreted these dreams for the cupbearer and for the bread maker. And the bread maker had a dream of bread in a basket on his head and birds coming to eat it, and Joseph said, "You will die in 3 days." And then the cupbearer had grapes that he dreamt that the grapes were being squeezed. And Joseph said, "Yes, in 3 days you will go back to work for Pharaoh." And he did. Why? Well, the bread is the bread on the head. Okay, which is the be read as in the Bible, which is your pineal gland, and it's also the temple, because the temple of God is inside you and God lives inside you. Okay. And if the birds have come and taken the bread, they've taken the word from your mind. As in the devil said, "I will rule from the temple." Okay. And the wine, by squeezing the grapes, makes the wine, and this represents Jesus in the Bible, where he's stomping the grapes, isn't he? Wine press, the wine press. And so this is the wine press, and this is why the cup is full of wine, and this is also represented by the new wineskins. So, which Jesus also talked about. Okay. And so, this is new wine. And therefore, you can be the cupbearer again. You can pour the wine. Okay. So, basically, it's all encoded and it's related to now. And so, we want to be the cupbearers. We don't want to be the bread maker. Okay. And it's also, you know, it's about being serving as well. So the cupbearer represents somebody who's pouring the wine. And so in this way, you're submissive, aren't you, as well? And you're pouring the wine from the grapes that have been pressed. So the word pressed also means that it's been refined as well. So it's about the bread and the wine. So if you really want to understand it, then it's also about the sacrifices in Leviticus, where the Lord would always demand in the sacrifices unleavened bread and wine. And so because Jesus is the ultimate sacrifice, there's still the bread and the wine. And this represents the first fruits as well, because just like Jesus, we are also raised from the dead, but there's new wine. And the bread should be unleavened. And so, why is it that it must be unleavened? Because Jesus is the bread of life. So, when the devil had the birds steal the bread from the bread maker out of his head, it was the devil stealing the word, the bread, the bee reed, God, from the head. Because God is the word and the bread. Okay. So basically, we're in the final days right now. If you haven't woken up, you really need to wake up. There isn't much time. I've already confirmed what I know just by trying to explain the interpretations of the dreams of Joseph. All right, to explain to you, we are in that section right now. And Joseph, after this, had to wait 2 years before he was finally, was it 2 years? Or 3 years? 2 years. Before he was finally brought to Pharaoh to interpret his dreams of the 7 lean years and the 7 good years, where Joseph was brought in under Pharaoh because he had divine wisdom, which also represents wisdom now, the divine wisdom which we should all be getting. And we're also, just like the bread makers and the wine cupbearer, we're also in prison. And we're also getting dreams. And we're going to be in this position for a little while. And if you notice, you have to obviously do what the people in the prison tell you to do. Otherwise, you know, there's even more problems. But just like in Exodus, we are going to have to go very soon. Very soon indeed. Because Egypt really wants to enslave us once more. What's Egypt? Egypt is the Canaanites, the Jebusites, the Amalekites, mixed in with the Ishmaelites and the Edomites. Plus, they've also convinced all the other tribes of God, the other 12 tribes apart from Judah, well, even Judah have gone astray, to join in with this charade. Yeah. And they've also swapped people around, changed all the times and the places. Nobody knows who they are, what anything else. It's a real mess. But hopefully, from what I've told you today, you'll know that the Bible's true, and you'll know that God is mighty real and mighty powerful, and it really is time to get up close and personal and realize that what is real and what is not real, and that if you know that the devil's dead already and he never existed, really, it's actually all about what's real and what's not real, what's true and what's not true. If you stop believing the power of the dead and the invisible, but believe in the power of the visible, the Jesus, the Word, that's now inside us, and it is a written form, so you can verify it. You can also take the words apart, like I do, and then you can verify that the words are true, and also start interpreting all of the dreams from, the people who've had dreams, and you'll be able to relate that these are the same times. But it's also just like Joshua, when God split the water and then gave us the 12 stones to make a mark there so we'd know where we were going. So it's a very similar time to that as well, because Moses is a sort of a symbol of an Exodus, and we're about to have the second Exodus, so the Joshua story is a bit like that as well. And also Joshua went up against AI, and we're now going up against AI, okay? We had the walls of Jericho just before that. So this, if you want an idea of what's going to happen, just read the Bible and we'll get an idea, okay? But God is very amazing, very mighty, and basically we need to stop these people from putting stuff in our water and food and air. Because that's the most integral part of this. They can't really activate anything inside you if there's nothing inside you to activate. And then we can activate for God, who is the Alpha and the Omega, and we need the Z. Right, this is why Paul tells you that the body needs to be joined. And we're the body of Christ, because we are the alphabet also, just like God is. Because we're made in his image. Alright. Okay, it's Ayesha from God FM. If you need to find me, you can find me on Podbean, Spotify, Amazon, Samsung, Chrome, YouTube, Apple, X, as well as TikTok, as God FM News, God FM New, and God FM Radio. And you can email me, admin@godfm.org.uk, and you can WhatsApp me, +44 77735 77788. And I have many communion groups on WhatsApp for targeted individuals and just standard missionary practices as well. So if you are under attack, or you want one-to-one prayer and communion with me, or you want to join any of the groups that I have created, please feel free to contact me. But I also want you to think very seriously that if we don't leave soon, we won't be able to. And also, are we going to leave, or are we going to stay and try and overthrow this mess? Because they don't actually have authority here. We do. But we have to unify and do it together and get the Z back. Can you help me get the Z back? Why does Jesus come as a lion? Why do we stand on Zion? Well, because it's Alpha Lion, God, Lion, and then, so you are God, and I'm on God, and God's inside you. And then Zion is the end of the alphabet, and I'm standing on Zion as a lion. All right. Have a wonderful day. It's Ayesha from God FM. Please comment, share, and like, as we are being shadow banned. Have a wonderful day. Take care.